everybody, and welcome to our episode. Let's talk about when life doesn't go how you thought. And today I am joined by the wonderful and very talented Florence Gildea. And honestly, you've just released your first book, Lessons I've Unlearned, because life doesn't look like it did in the pictures. And you have done an amazing job. It's a cracking book, and I recommend it to anybody. And I think, yeah, you're a wonderful author, and you unpack a lot of truth that we all need to hear, particularly millennials. So first of all, thank you so much for joining us, for being a guest. And yeah, we both hope that this conversation, wherever you are, wherever you're listening, will really encourage you, inspire you, and empower you in your journey. So yeah, well, Florence, it is an honor to have you. Thank you so much. Now tell us, firstly, how are you doing? Are you doing well?
Yeah, I'm incredibly warm. But other than that, I'm well. Yeah.
Brilliant. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? There's 3 questions I love to ask people. First question is, what do you do?
So I work for a public health charity, and I do a bit of policy and a bit of programs and a bit of comms and a bit of everything.
Do you enjoy it?
Yes, I basically am obsessed with kind of making an impact on the world. So I do like, and obviously because health is quite a big part of my story, and mental health, helping people with that and ensuring that everybody has access to that support it's great.
Amazing. And just a side note then, because obviously we're not going to talk about everything in the book, but I do encourage everybody to grab it, to read it, because it's so encouraging and inspiring. But just give us a little short snippet of your journey and a bit of your story so people understand the context of how you've written this and where it's come from.
So I started calling myself a Christian when I was 18. And that was after a couple of years of really severe anorexia. And So I basically was on like the track to success, right? Like I'm middle class, I'm pretty privileged, I'm pretty smart. I've got parents that would like help me do well at school and encouraged me to go to a good university and everything like that. So I was on the up and up.
And you went to good university. You might not want to say that, but you did, and so you're very bright.
Thank you.
You went to Cambridge University.
So yeah, I was on the track to success. It was all looking great. And then for lots of complicated reasons, I developed an eating disorder, and it all kind of fell apart at that point, very, very rapidly. And so that was in sixth form, and it got to I was in therapy, but I wasn't actually changing. So I was slightly tweaking my diet, but I didn't want to stop being thin. And I didn't want to lose any kind of control. And it got to my 18th birthday, 10 years and a week ago today. And I was just so depressed, and I couldn't see the end of any of it. And so I remember driving home in a very rainy night, and I was going around I'd lost all my friends as a result of my eating disorder, and none of my friends understood. So I didn't have anyone to celebrate my birthday with. So my mum took me on a weekend away, and I was so socially anxious. I had to my therapist made me carry around a teddy bear as emotional support. And I think to give you a sense of that social anxiety, I remember I was in a Pret-a-Manger on that weekend, and I checked the menu in advance and what I thought I'd be able to have, and they didn't have it, and I absolutely screamed in this like square in Bath. I just hollered. So driving back, it was raining, and I just remember saying to my mum, like, "Mum, I think I'm done. I think I need to end my life now." And arrived back, and I have a godfather because I was christened because I'm middle class, not because like my family is like Christian. So I have a godfather, and he happens to be Christian, and he had sent me a book called What's So Amazing About Grace, and I read that, and I just kind of knew it's either this or it's nothing. So I read that and started calling myself a Christian at that point. And then I guess ever since, my faith's been evolving and changing. But that kind of the conviction that grace has to be the answer or we're all done for is definitely the sort of the thread that runs through it all.
That's amazing. And thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. So, little bit of a pivot. What do you love?
I love being outside in the countryside. I love like when, I think I write about it in the book, when a spring breeze just kind of slips by and there's this kind of sense of peace through the sunshine. There's just like a little breeze and that sort of catches me every time. Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you on that. And what is one thing that you are learning in this season right now?
I think what I'm learning is that sometimes you have to not run away. I'm a perfectionist, and when it looks like something's not going my way, the tendency is to just want to call it quits. And there's something around steadfastness and loyalty that I say I believe, that I like looking like I've got it together more. So normally I just throw in the towel, and I think I'm learning to not and stick things through and see what happens.
Yeah.
Through the kind of mess and the uncomfortableness. Yeah.
Well, you're very brave, because I think a lot of people, I would say I'm a perfectionist too, and the challenge is definitely real, isn't it? To like just stick with it even when it's like not how you imagined, not what you thought, not going to plan, so to speak, and you just have to like knuckle down. So I think it's really brave. Okay, so we're talking about when life doesn't go how you thought. And that is probably something that everybody who's listening to can relate to in some way or another. And if you've been alive for more than a few years, you know that life doesn't go how you think all the time. It's a mystery, and it's messy, and it's confusing, and actually pain and joy and setbacks and progress can all coexist at the same time. So, and you've just written a book, Lessons I've Unlearned, because life doesn't look like it did in the pictures. Firstly, what compelled you to write that?
Yeah, so I had a really rubbish early 20s, actually from basically 16 onwards, it's pretty rubbish. And so I had to get self-aware very quickly because of being ill. So I had, therapy, and I was just reading everything I could read and listening to sermons and podcasts and just desperately looking for an answer to feel better. And I felt like I was totally alone in that. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I was just kind of scrabbling around. My CV is a mess. And I thought everyone else had like gone straight out of uni, got into a graduate program and was loving life. And, had met who they were going to marry when they were at university, and I'd been left behind. So I felt a huge amount of shame, but all the time I was kind of just scribbling down notes of sort of reflections, things that struck me, things I was learning, just on my phone, random bits of paper. My hard drive is also a mess. And then kind of, I guess, my 24, 25, some of my friends started feeling the same way, and I just kept having the same conversation over and over again. It was different like crises or struggles. It might be a breakup or a job or like friendships breaking down or parents getting divorced, and they kept saying the same phrase, which was this isn't what I thought my life would look like. And I guess that the book is just kind of everything that I would say to them if I had 8 hours monologue at their face. Because I just realized, it's not just me, and maybe everything that I've kind of started to realize would help other people. So I didn't ever think I could write a book. I thought I could write articles and blogs. And then I was talking to a friend in this very strange cafe Again, it was raining. All the important moments happened.
The defining moment.
Raining. Yeah, it was a dark and stormy night. And she was like, "Oh, Florence, you should write a book." And I just remember thinking, "Carrie, I hate you, because now you've given me like another stick to beat myself over the head with for not being able to write a book." And then I was on the bus home, and just all the chapter titles just came into my head. And I was like, "Oh, I think that's a thing. I think I could write a book." So yeah, it just kind of happened from there. And I'm not annoyed at Carrie anymore.
That's amazing. What did the process of that look like then? So you've had this idea, you're on the bus, and all these titles are flashing through your head, and you're like, this could be a thing. What do you do then?
Yeah, I just kind of took all my piece of notes and bits and bobs all over the place and kind of shaped it, went through everything I'd highlighted on my Kindle for about a decade. And it's very strange to say that I can't remember it happening, but I can't remember writing it. It really did just kind of happen in not a huge amount of time. I think I'm someone that definitely thinks through writing, so it just kind of flowed through me. And which is kind of annoying, because everyone's like, "Oh, write another one." And then the ideas, I hate to claim inspiration, but the ideas didn't feel like my own. Like sometimes I read it back, I'm like, "Oh, that's quite good." that can't be me. So unless the ideas are put in there, hopefully by the Spirit, then there's nothing else coming out of me. So yeah, I really can't remember it.
You say that you'll probably be this like very well-known author before we know it, who's got like myriads of books under
don't tell my ego that. That's no.
I've read your book. It's very good, and it's your first one. So yeah, I applaud you and respect that. It's amazing. Okay, so moving on then, talking about life not going how we thought. Now, I think part of that is because everybody in some way, whether you class them as big dreams or small dreams, everyone has like a dream or an aspiration, or at the very least, probably something that they think is an expectation that they should live up to, and that's how their life should go. Whether that's being married by a certain point, doing a certain job, like what you said, your story of like these milestones. How do you think we navigate the tension between faith and wisdom? So trusting God with the dreams, because God deposits glimmers and glimpses of dreams because he's created us to do good work. How do we balance that part of it with not living in a dream world, so that we just get assailed by life and discouraged when it just doesn't pan out how we think?
I think you always have to zoom out. It's really hard because we're born into such an individualistic and materialistic culture that we're just gonna always think we're the star of the show, and that's an impossible burden to bear. And at best it gives you a messiah complex, and at worst it makes you like a narcissist, or both. I've been both. So none of us are going to single-handedly build the kingdom of God, and it isn't even going to be just like you and Jesus, or you and the Spirit, or you and the whole Trinity. It will probably be the entire body of Christ, which is the entire church, including the people that you don't like.
Yeah.
So I think we zoom out, and what is God's plan that he has covenantally promised, and that is to basically make the world a better Eden, to restore all of creation and bring it under his reign of love and peace. And he invites us to play a part in that by living a life of radical generosity and love and hospitality. But the way we get there and what that looks like doesn't necessarily mean individual success and personal happiness. if you look at Saint Stephen or John the Baptist or most of the Old Testament prophets or Jesus, it doesn't end well for them. So like, what does Saint Stephen's biggest contribution to the kingdom look like? It's the way he dies, because it sets something off in Paul's heart, which then makes him, the greatest missionary the world's ever known. So that's really kind of sucky for people that have walk around in a society where every advert is about your happiness and convenience and what do you want. And so he's like, yeah, that's what I'm entitled to. That I'm entitled to feel good. I'm entitled to not put any effort in. I want to be able to order my groceries online and Uber and everything an app away. And that's not what that's not the lifestyle that God necessarily wants for us. So yeah, we just keep having to zoom out, but knowing that the thing we're most afraid of, God can work with. So if we're most afraid of failure and rejection and death and betrayal, well, then look at Jesus and see what was achieved through that. And then if you're disappointed and hurt, that doesn't mean you're on the sidelines. And if you're succeeding, it doesn't mean you're building the kingdom of God, because if you're doing something without love, then Paul says that's worthless. So it's just to always look beyond the appearances, I think, of things, and not to assume how God will work.
So good. And I think you're so right. We live in a very individualistic, self-consumed world, and it makes it look like anything of value or anything that's worth having comes instantly without challenge and puts you ahead of everybody else. And actually, it's so anti the metric system of God. He values the hidden spaces, the waiting seasons, the deep roots. And actually, I think that can make everybody hit a crossroads and a crunch point where you're looking at what you've got in your hand, whatever that looks like, whatever space or season you're in, and go, if it doesn't look valued by the world, it must not be significant. I must not have found the thing. Mm-hmm. But actually, the kingdom of God is God's entrusted something to each of us, and so therefore it's significant. And we have to rewire our whole mindset, don't we? And I think there's this tension, because as Christians, we've got God, the God of heaven, as our Father, who says, I've created you to do good work. It's always for his glory, but he's created us to do good work. And I think the challenge is becoming obsessed with finding that, isn't it? That your head can go away in the clouds and you can lose the wisdom of the fact that it's actually outworked differently. Like you said, it might not look how you thought. And actually valuing that. So I think it's a hard lesson and something that you have to die to daily. Do you know what I mean?
And also, if you think historically, we have careers, but 99.999% of the world's population throughout history, and most of them now, haven't got careers. They do what their father and mother did, and they just live off the land. So what we're called to do cannot be a job.
Yeah.
It must be something else, because otherwise we're saying that we've got this privileged position and responsibility that those guys don't have.
Yeah.
So I think in some ways we are the work, and reshaping our internal cosmos is sort of the biggest. If you've nailed that one before you apply for a job, well done. Please tell me how you did it. Because I think I'll probably be doing that long after I retire. And I think also we kind of think that the calling is, we think the calling is a career, and we think it means having a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, when actually being so fixed on an endpoint means that you miss the opportunities in the present moment. Because you kind of think God's over there waiting for me to achieve that thing, when he isn't. He's right here now.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest lies we can believe is that life is a succession of milestone moments, and that's only what counts, when actually it's a million mundane but miraculous moments where God's using you. He can use you through a conversation. He uses you all the time if you're willing to be made, to go low, to go wide, and to actually open your eyes and go, use me, Father, position me in the good work today. And good work, God work, doesn't, like you said, is not necessarily a career. It can be in your career. He can use you there, but it's like, it's all around you if you use it. Do you know what I mean? So yes, I'm so with you on that. Now, why do you think then, I know we've touched on it a little bit, but let's go there a little bit deeper. Why do you think people get so discouraged by their reality? Speak to the millennial woman who's listening to this and she's like, I'm not married yet, or I haven't got my job and I'm not sure what I'm doing. Why do you think we get so discouraged by our reality? What do you think feeds that?
Yeah, so I think there are two narratives that we kind of use to conceptualize life in sort of Western countries. One of them is the story of progress. So that is, things just get better. You go up the career ladder, you go up the property ladder, and you don't come back down. And yeah, you go from dating to engagement to marriage. I remember when I first had a breakup with the person I thought I was going to marry, and I just remember thinking, I can't tell everyone at church because people won't understand. They won't understand that we're broken up. So there's the progress story, and then there's the sort of Hollywood rom-com chick flick 3-part structure where you have set up sort of dramatic, inciting incident, tension, conflict, and then resolution. And so there, loss and disappointment is always the gateway to something better. So she breaks up with a boyfriend because she was meant to meet someone else who was much better, or she gets fired because she needed to set up that business that she'd always been putting to the side. So it always quickly resolves itself, and there's nothing, there's no loose ends, there's no confusion, there's no mystery. Everything just works itself out really quickly. So I remember hearing at church people say, like, God will restore what the locusts have eaten, which is, I think, out of Joel 5:8, as if, and the way I understood it was, everything that I've lost, I'll get back. Everything bad that's happened, it'll be like Job and his kids, you know, everything will come back. There won't be a loss. God won't let it disappear. So if I've lost a job, I'll get a better one. If I've been broken up with, I'll get a better boyfriend. I'll always look this young, if not younger. And that's not how it works. So I think also people get discouraged because they think that when it doesn't work, that's their fault. So there's 1,000,001 factors that make someone live that ideal life or not. But we think it's all about whether we're good enough, whether we try hard enough. And I think Christians especially get discouraged because they think not only are they not good enough, but it must mean God doesn't love them. And so it's like the sense of self and the faith that gets kind of called into question. And that's a lot of ground to be ripped out from under your feet at once.
Yeah, I think that's a really wise and apt observation, and very true, because it's like that tension. And I think when you're believing for good things to happen and it doesn't go how you thought, often if you're a Christian, the good things you're believing that are going to happen, you're praying about. So when it doesn't, you equate that to, like you said, God's not happy with me, I haven't done the right thing, is he teaching me a lesson, has he ignored me? And it's like, yeah, a narrative, we need a narrative rewrite. And I read something today which I totally agree with, and it was really brutal to read on social media. It's not like, because I think the truth is God loves you completely, you are significant, you are here for a purpose and all of that, but the truth is life is hard. We're not that great. Our life is a vapor, and we're all going to die at some point. And generations have been before us. Generations may come after us. We are not, like you said, the be all and end all. And it's just like it's holding that thing of like, God loves me and he sees me. And yes, I'm the apple of his eye, but also you're not all that, like holding that tension. Do you know what I mean? Of like, humility and receiving that thing. So what do you think we can do to protect against that becoming so discouraged by reality? Like, what do we do to guard our hearts and actually apply wisdom, like you're saying?
I think recognizing our own dependency. So being grateful. So I know gratitude is often like, I'm grateful that it's sunny, but being grateful for everything that's happened in the chain of history to get you where you are, so that to give you that sense of history and narrative and the bigger picture. Think about how many people are involved in the production of your food, like just the logistics. Think about logistics networks, guys. It's ridiculous. There's so many people involved. And just let your kind of mind be blown a little bit by how complex the world is. And then be grateful that somehow, beyond your understanding, it all fits and works together. Because again, I don't know how logistics works. It's ridiculous. How do my food arrive fresh? I don't know.
Yeah.
How do flowers get here from the Netherlands and they're not dead?
And how do they grow roses in like the stalks that stand up? Because mine are like flopping down on my garden, and I can't like. And they grow them perfect. Like, that might be a stupid question, but that genuinely blows my mind. Like, how do you do that?
So there you go. Contemplate the roses, not the lilies, Jesus, the roses. And I think so. So then I think being honest about sort of your struggles is helpful, but really not trying to instill envy in other people as well. I think it's with social media, it's really hard to not do. And the thing is, when we get to the milestone, the chances are it's not what we expected, but we're really scared of admitting that. So we post the pictures that make it look like it was everything it was cracked up to be. And it wasn't. And we kind of hide that because we think, oh, I've not done it right. There's something wrong with me because I'm not feeling it. When actually, if you were honest that, getting married didn't completely wipe you clean of all insecurity and make you happy 24/7, that might actually help someone who's looking at those wedding photos going, I can't be happy because I'm single. We have to kind of be honest about that the grass isn't greener, as well as in the grey grass, brown grass, dirty area, that there's also, there's sprouts of joy there too. So I think it's just kind of bringing everything, recognizing that everything is holy ground and everything is sacred, and really tearing down those walls between where we are now and where we think we should be and where we would be happier.
Yeah, I so agree with that, because I think dreams that come true, dreams that don't come true are hard, but dreams that do come true are hard. Like, I can speak from experience. I wanted to get married, and I got married early, 22, met my husband at 20, married at 22. The first year of marriage was hard. Marriage is hard. And then having kids, I thought, oh my goodness, I can't wait to do that. Have my first baby. It's hard. And now I've got 3 babies. It's hard. And it's like, actually, life is hard. Dreams that come true are still hard. And it's like, I agree with that, having those honest conversations. A bit like what we're doing now is just like, it helps. I agree. And it helps to disarm things and bring things into perspective and actually connect you with other people in different seasons and go, this is what I've learned. And yeah, so I agree with that completely. So on that, what has helped you to trust God when life didn't go how you thought?
I think it's worth saying that I rarely feel like I trust God. So I have had for over a decade depression and anxiety and an eating disorder and serious attachment issues and abandonment issues, and all of that makes it very hard to have a correct, right, close to real understanding of God and relate to him properly, or as I wish I did. So I'm banking on if this isn't true, then I'm done for. I'm banking on God being greater than my doubt, and that my faith resting on who I have faith in rather than the feelings associated with my faith. So I think the analogy often used is like, if you jumped out of a plane, it wouldn't be your feelings about the parachute, it would be whether the parachute actually works that saved you. And so I'm hoping that's true, and I'm hoping that, you know, God is mighty to save, and that it doesn't. It's not, just as it isn't like salvation by works, it isn't salvation by right belief and strong emotional reaction to that belief. And then what's helped me, the faith of other people, the prayer of other people. I think faith is a spiritual gift, and like the other spiritual gifts, it's to be had on behalf of the community. So if you can have faith for me and I can have faith for you, and you can see me grow better than I can, then that's everything. That's huge. And yeah, just that if nothing can separate me from God's love, you know, not heaven or hell and angels or demons and all the other things that Paul lists in Romans, then that also includes my doubts and my anxieties. That can't separate me either. And a lot of it was just that phrase, I think Peter says it, Lord, to whom else would we go? That was the verse for me, because I was like, well, I'm a rubbish Christian. I'm rubbish. But I'd be rubbish at any other kind of lifestyle and worldview as well. Like, and I certainly can't hack it in like an ego-driven materialistic one, because by that point I'd spent a year doing like informal theology apologetics, so that wasn't going to make me a success in the world's eyes. And then I think then I'd done a year as an assistant chaplain. That again wasn't going to make me onto MTV. So I was like,
your dream.
if I abandon this Jesus thing now, well, honestly, I'm not got anything better lined up.
Nothing else.
Exactly. So I guess I'll just keep going. And I can't ever shake the conviction that the absolute ridiculousness and nonsensicalness of the way of life that Jesus taught, where you just do stupid things like forgiving everybody and giving away all your possessions and turning the cheek and loving people even when they hate you. That's so stupid that it must be the truest thing ever. Because otherwise, why would you say it?
Yeah.
So I'm banking on that for now.
Oh, and I love what you said. I'm going to quote you. You see, I've highlighted it. I hope you don't. I hope you're not going to want the book back, because I have highlighted it. Just if I get this email going, can you send it back? And then you've had a read.
I mean, I'm northern, but I'm not that cheap.
I will. But I love that you said what I really need to hear isn't that I'm secretly awesome, but that in all my weakness, in my trepidation, and in my folly, I am loved. And I highlighted that because I thought that is so good. Because actually, in a world that loves to like all of the posts that are like, repeat after me, here's your daily meditation, I am awesome, I could do great things, I am made for greatness, I am significant. It's actually like all of that is rubbish if you can't, like, what, you don't need to hear that from anyone or from yourself. You need to know from your Father that you're enough. And it's like living for his gaze and his praise alone. And I loved how you said it, because I thought it was beautiful. And so, and I know we're coming to a close before I ask you a few quick 5 questions. But again, the book is beautiful. Your heart is like, it's trustworthy. That's how I would say. It's like you can tell, for anyone who hasn't read the book, you can tell that Florence really values the Jesus way. And you've got a heart inclined to truth and a humble heart that's willing to share your story, the highs and the lows, and actually willing to go, this is what I'm learning, and pointing people to truth, not your truth, but the truth. And I think in a world that's all about speak your truth, own your now, like own how you feel, it's refreshing. And so if you are anybody, but particularly if you're a millennial, I think it's Lessons I Have Learned Because Life Doesn't Look How It Did in the Pictures by Florence Gildea. You've got to get it because it's beautiful. So thank you so much. And thank you for giving up your time to do this. I really appreciate it. It has been an honor to talk to you. So to round off, I've got some quick fire questions. And I mean like literally yes or no. Not yes or no.
Okay.
You have to answer, but you know. Okay. Coffee or tea, Florence?
Tea.
Oh, you're fast. Okay. Normally the thing is, but
I said it was quick fire.
No, I know. I'm so grateful that you are doing it quick, because honestly, whenever I do this and I say, right, I've got quick fire questions, and I ask them, some people, I'm so sure someone once took like 3 minutes to answer it, and I was like, this isn't quick fire. If you're literally like, they really were analysing it, like, well, I don't know if I'm that, because sometimes I'm like, quick fire. So I admire that.
Tea.
Do you have sugar in your tea?
No.
Introvert or extrovert?
Or both.
Magazine or book?
Book.
Morning or evening?
Morning.
What is in your handbag right now?
Oh no, I have a rucksack and it's probably full of snacks.
There you go. Well, again,
I wish I was adult enough to have a handbag. I'm still a child with a big rucksack, worried that I'm going to run out of snacks.
And then you have kids, and then you get another.
I'm prepared, but I will fight them for the snacks.
Honestly, I've got a rucksack. I really like it. I don't know if it's a rucksack, backpack. I don't know how you call it, like satchel. I don't know, but and it's full of snacks and nappies. So
at least mine doesn't have nappies. I'm able to.
You've got your control there.
Yeah.
You've graduated in that area.
Yeah.
So by the world's standards, you are a success.
Yeah. I can. I would pass my year 2 sats, I think, with flying colours. So.
Amazing. Again, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us. Thank you for writing the book, for actually having the courage, and I know it came quite quickly for you, but it still would have taken the discipline to actually write it down, because you actually had to write that down. And so I'm grateful that you did that. I'm grateful for your time. And yeah, it's been so good to hear your story, your perspective, your wisdom. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
It's been an honor. And for anyone listening, thank you so much for listening, for tuning in. We really hope that you're leaving feeling refreshed, and that it's almost been like a weight off your shoulders. You just feel a little bit lighter. And so, yeah, it's been an honor chatting with you, Florence, an honor being able to speak to you wherever you are. So thank you so much. And until next time, we will speak again. Bye-bye.